Good afternoon, all. Myself, Dr. Kapil Kamble. I am Associate Professor in the Department of Microbiology, Santa Gadge Baba Amaravati University, Amaravati. I am very thankful to the organizers of Botany for You. Firstly, they have given me the chance to deliver a lecture for the life sciences students who are preparing for the NET set exam. I am today going to talk on gene regulation. So, gene regulation uh, is a process actually in which the genes they actually code to a fruitful protein. Okay, the proteins may be structural, the proteins may be functional. Now, in this process, as it is evident and as you know since your graduation, there is a gene for every protein. Now, the problem comes when there is a gene for every protein, why does not it express all the time? Let us take the example of E. coli cell, a bacterial cell which do not have nucleus. Now, the bacterial cell is having nearly 12,000 genes, E. coli cell. On the contrary, human beings are having more than 32,000 genes. Now, human beings' gene regulation is quite complex, but let us think of the bacterial cells. A very simple and easy to study the genetic processes, and actually bacterial cells has helped to reveal many fascinating aspects of gene regulation. The simple reason we can see it has taken Mendel many years, many months to study the traits, like Mendel has studied on the father of genetics actually, but he has studied many aspects of the gene regulation in the plants, actually the gene expression, maybe seed color, plant height, size of the seeds, shape of the say this pea plant and these seeds. So that means, but on the contrary, you can see E. coli cells. You can see the gene expression in E. coli cell within 24 hours. Okay, that is observable on your media. Now, without introducing more microbiology, what I am trying to say is, when we observe a simple gene expression, a simple phenotypic expression in plants, in bacteria you can observe that within 24 hours, observable traits. Okay, so that is a different aspect. So what we were discussing is E. coli is having 12,000 genes, and all of these genes they do not express all the time, and whenever the requirement of gene is there, by that time only that particular protein will express. So today we will have an overview uh, how the processes they occurs and how they are controlled. Okay, now before proceeding for gene expression is not a very difficult word. Actually, when we say express, the word express itself means we can find, we express our anger, we express our happiness. That is an observable thing that we can observe. Similarly, expression is a synthesis of the proteins that we are able to observe. Let us take the example of our skin protein melanin. Okay, some are fair, some are dark. That is actually the melanin. Then you can take the example of keratin, your hair protein. Okay, so that is again a kind of expression. There is a gene which is coding for the synthesis of that particular protein, and when it is expressed, we will be able to observe it. Okay, now the proteins may be structural, the proteins may be functional. There are many proteins which are the part of your cell membranes, cell wall. So they are actually the structural proteins. On the other hand, you have to carry, the cells has to carry many metabolic reactions, and for that particular purpose there are many enzymes. Okay, so now that particular enzymatic or structural proteins is synthesized by your gene. Okay, now that is the gene expression. Similarly, you can see in the plants also there are many proteins, like you can see the gluten protein is there in the wheat. Likewise, the proteins you can observe, and the traits or whatever phenotypic properties we are able to observe is because of the gene expression. So this is regarding your overall gene expression. Now what constitutes the process of regulation? Gene regulation is actually controlling. Now I will again give you one example ki you are consuming something sugary food. The enzymes responsible for that degradation of the sugar, they will be selectively expressed in the cell. Not the enzymes which are required for degradation of the proteins, they will not be synthesized in our body. This is how the cells are managing all these things. Okay, you can see a simple glucose degradation pathway. There are more than 12 enzymes, simple glucose degradation pathway. And I will tell you, it is not only the glucose we are consuming or the cells are utilizing. There are many more synthesis, catalytic reactions are going on in our body. There are many synthetic anabolic reactions are going on in our body. So that means a range of reactions are taking place in our body, and they are all controlled. You will not find any single enzyme, any single gene unnecessarily produced in our body. So that is the magic of nature. You can see how that particular genes and the flow of the biochemical reactions, it is controlled in the body. It is very fascinating aspect to understand. Now in the Human Genome Project, it was revealed there is a gene for every disorder. Now when we say the gene is there, actually the gene is there in the cell since childhood. But there are genes which are expressing after the older age. So that means there is something external factors. There are interrelated reactions which are controlling the expression of the genes. Again, expression of the genes, I will tell you. Synthesis of the proteins from the genes shortly. Okay. And again, I will repeat that the proteins may be structural or functional. So here, there are these many kinds of genes. There are 32,000 genes in human body, and they do not express all the time. Actually, the cells does not waste their time in synthesis of unnecessary molecules, unnecessary enzymes, and they do not waste energy in their synthesis. Okay. So today we will discuss how that particular enzymatic reaction, that particular enzyme production required for the degradation of that particular substance is produced in our body. So how it is done? So this will be exemplified in today's discussion, I will say, rather than lecture. So to begin with, we will see in the slide that this is the central dogma. You must have read several times. The gene is transcribed into a primary transcript. Okay, the gene is transcribed into a primary transcript. Now the non-coding regions, introns will be removed, exons will remain there. Introns will be removed and exons will stay there. And that mature mRNA will be translated into a protein. Then proteins are modified by the process of post-translational processing. Post-translational processing. Now in this reaction, in this particular process, there will be addition of some metals, there will be addition of glycosidic chains, there will be addition of some other molecules which are not the part of the protein, which are previously synthesized. That means the modification of the proteins will be taking place. Further, that means the gene expression is actually constituting the transcription as well as translation. Transcription, the process of mRNA synthesis, is again simply not the process of mRNA synthesis. There is a removal of the non-coding region from the mRNA, which we refer as post-transcriptional processing. In a similar manner, the protein will be modified. There will be addition of some other short peptides. There will be removal of the initial amino acids like methionine is in many cases first amino acid, methionine or N-formyl methionine. So they are removed. Okay. So that is the process of post-translational processing. And likewise, you will imagine that there are many proteins with similar amino acids, but their properties will differ. Okay. Again, we will say that there are amino acids of 300 amino acid length, proteins of 300 amino acid length. So their property will differ because the number of proteins, the number of amino acids and the arrangement of the amino acids will be responsible for the change in the properties of that enzyme. Likewise, you will find that there are structural proteins of 300 amino acids and there are enzymatic proteins of 300 amino acids. So this is a simple thing which will allow us to think that in nature you will find many proteins, but no proteins they will have same properties. Okay. Again, it is a part of gene expression. See, the nature has monitored everything systematically. Okay. As and when the need is there, that gene will be produced in our body. So this is overall scenario that what gene expression constitute. The gene expression is actually constituting the genes, that is DNA. It is constituting the mRNA transcript. It is constituting the protein which is translated from mRNA. So let us move further. Now you know that there are many genes, their expression is there. That means a protein is synthesized from that gene. The mechanism that we have discussed shortly, that from gene mRNA is synthesized, from mRNA proteins are synthesized. Translated, we can say. So that is the central dogma or the process of gene expression that we are going to discuss today. Now, I would like to read the quote of Francis Jacob and Jacques Monod. What they have stated is, the fundamental problem of chemical physiology and of embryology is to understand why tissue cells do not all express all the time all the potentialities inherent in their genome. That we were discussing, that the cells is having the genes, the cells are having the potential to express the genes, but why they do not express all the time all the potentialities they are found in their genome. That I was saying shortly, that there are the genes for every metabolic disorder, as I have stated you in the Human Genome Project. They found there are many genes for many biochemical activities in the humans, but why they do not express all the potentialities, why they do not express all the time? So that is the question asked, and we are trying to find out today what determines that factor which controls their potential. So in these two twins, there is a minor change. There is a minor change. As I told you, there is a slight difference in, even they are exactly similar, but their color is differing. A slight change in the gene is there, and that is why that minor gene change has caused a complete different expression of that gene. So you will find a simple change, a single change, how that single change can cause this major effect. You can see a single change in sickle cell anemia. There is a single change in the nucleotide, and that valine is replaced by glutamine or something like that. A simple change is there in the sickle cell anemia cells, and that single nucleotide change is causing a drastic effect. A drastic effect means normal RBC cells to the sickle shaped cells, which does not carry the oxygen efficiently. Now here in this case, a simple change in the expression of that gene has caused one infant darker than the other. You will see same thing here. A simple change in the gene has caused a drastic change in their color, you see, and there is a difference in the expression of only one gene, I can say. Now the control of gene expression. Okay. As I have told you, there are genes which are expressed when there is a need for that particular gene. Now we all contains the genetic material for the development. As I told you, for synthesis, for degradation of the metabolic metabolites, we need all these genes. And there are genes which are required throughout the life of the individual. Let us move to the next slide, you will find. Again, this is we discussed Now let us understand the expression of gene in a rough manner. There are certain genes which you require all the time. Okay. The photosynthetic genes of plants, they should express all the time. They can express all the time. Of course, depending on the response to the light, their expression will vary. But if you provide the light 24 hours, they will continuously express, and their expression varies from time to time. Okay. On the other hand, if you think of the respiration process in human beings, you will find that it is a continuous process, and whichever enzymes they are involved in the respiratory processes, they has to express continuously. Okay. Again, you see what nature has taken care, that nature is allowing certain genes to express all the time, and on the other hand, there are certain genes which are expressed whenever their need is there. If I am consuming a starchy substance, if I am consuming a sugar containing substance, the enzymes responsible for degradation of the sugars only will be expressed in my body. If I am consuming milk, the enzyme responsible for casein, protein, they will express. If I am consuming wheat, gluten, again the enzyme responsible for gluten will express in my body, in every cell rather. So here you will find that when the food source is varied, by that time the enzymes will also vary. As and when the food sources are getting varied, the enzymes will get vary. Now this is regarding the expression of the genes, and you will find that the processes, they are quite complicated. Quite complicated means there is a interdependence of the genes that are going to express. So this we will see slowly. That means I am today in this slide, what we are going to discuss is, we are discussing is there are certain genes which are required for by the cell throughout their life cycle. Okay. Like as I told you. And there are certain genes, as and when the food source get varied, their expression will get varied. Okay. And as we have seen in the very first slide, the concentration of proteins at any given time is determined by the processes that we have studied at the beginning of the session. The process of transcription will determine the balance of proteins in the cell. Post-transcriptional modifications, they will determine the balance of protein in the cell. Translation process will determine the balance of proteins in the cells. Post-translational modification will determine the balance of proteins in the cells. So they will all contribute to a regulated process which will take place in our body. So that means there is no wasteful process that will carry in our body. Whenever the product is required, by that time only that particular enzyme will be synthesized in our body. Now these were the processes that we were discussing. These are actually maintaining the balance of the proteins in the cells. What I am trying to say by balance of the protein in the cells means enzymes, the concentration of the enzyme in the cell required for that particular process is actually maintained by these processes. Primary transcript synthesis, processing of mRNA, mRNA degradation, translation, post-translational modification, protein degradation, protein targeting and transport. If you want to control a particular biochemical process, you can control any process that is mentioned in this slide. That means cells has to control these particular processes, and ultimately the expression of the proteins will be controlled. So these are the vital processes, and whenever you have to regulate, whenever the cell has to regulate the concentration of that particular protein in the cell, they will follow this particular route. Okay. So that means certain proteins, they are required throughout the life of the individual. They will be continuously synthesized, and certain proteins which are not required, they will be synthesized as and when their requirement is there by the cells. Now, the best way to regulate any protein synthesis is at the beginning of this pathway. The beginning of this pathway means at the very first beginning, that means at the transcription level only, you can control the process. At the transcription level, you can control that synthesis of a particular protein. There are many mechanisms which are there in the cells, which are in the eukaryotes, that are required. That means they are there. Now, before proceeding, we will discuss what kinds of genes are there and what are these, what kinds of proteins they should be there in the cells all the time, and what are the technical terms that we will encounter in upcoming slides. Housekeeping genes. Housekeeping genes, as I told you, they should be there in the cells all the time. Respiratory genes maybe, or the transcription factors, they are there. So these genes, they are there in the cells all the time. That is housekeeping genes. Constitutive gene expression. Constitutive genes, they are synthesized in the cells even when their requirement is not there for the cell. Constitutively, they will be synthesized. There are many enzymes called as reductases. They are the constitutively synthesized. Whichever the product they feels it should be reduced. In case of bacteria, at least they will reduce that, and that is constitutive gene expression. Whether a substrate is there or not, it is immaterial for such genes. They will express. Regulated gene expression. As I told you, regulated when you consume a particular food, that particular proteins which are required for the degradation of that proteins will be synthesized. That is a constitutive, that is regulated gene expression. If you eat a particular kind of food product, the gene responsible for degradation of that particular food product will be synthesized in our body. So that is a regulated gene expression. Again, inducible genes such as DNA repair. The enzymes of DNA repair, they are synthesized only when there is a damage to the DNA. So you will find that the DNA will get damaged by chemicals or ultraviolet rays. Thymine dimers will be formed, pyrimidine dimers will be formed, and that will induce the synthesis of uh, the enzymes which are involved in the repair mechanism. Repressible gene expression such as in case of tryptophan, the substrate will inhibit the first step of the synthesis. Repressible, that is. Now let us come to the gene expression efficiency. Now what happens is, no doubt it is RNA polymerase that will synthesize the transcription, that will synthesize the mRNA, and which will synthesize the protein. But the fact is that it is not only RNA polymerase that will transcribe. The efficiency of this RNA polymerase is controlled by many other regulatory proteins. The regulatory proteins, they are there at the promoter region, they will bind, they will either enhance the process of transcription or they will reduce the process of transcription. I will give you the example of L-asparaginase enzyme production, which is anti-cancer enzyme. If I want to overproduce this L-asparaginase production, which is anti-cancer enzyme, so what researchers they do is, they add an extra promoter before that gene. Now what happens is, now in 1,000 times more you will have the expression of L-asparaginase when that particular gene is having an extra promoter. Now we will see very shortly what is promoter, or you must have read in BSc. It's a region where the regulatory proteins will bind. And now, as I have given you the example of L-asparaginase production, if we add an extra promoter, you see the result. Okay. Now we will see if there is any damage in the promoter region, it will affect the synthesis of mRNA, which will ultimately affect the synthesis of proteins. If mRNA is synthesized in larger quantities, you will see the proteins too are synthesized in larger quantities. Now if there are mutations away from the consensus sequence, the sequence involved in the promoter recognition consensus, if that sequence is having certain problem, then you will find that the activity of RNA polymerase is drastically hampered. Let us go further. Now this is up element minus 35 region minus 10 region, that is RNA start site. So this particular region is recognized by the RNA polymerase and its accessory factors, so that the process of RNA transcription is speeded up. Now this sequences TA, Tata box, you must have read. These are quite common in many cells, these sequences. Here your interaction between this DNA and the protein will initiate here. Now transcription initiation is regulated by proteins that bind to or near the promoter. As I told you, it is not only the RNA polymerase which is involved in this transcription process. Yes, it is involved actually, no doubt, but its speed can be drastically hampered by other factors, or they can affect the efficiency, binding efficiency of RNA polymerase to the promoter region, to the sequence that we have seen in the previous slide. Now, who will speed up the reaction of RNA polymerase, or which molecules will decrease the speed of RNA polymerase? Specificity factors, repressors, effector molecules. Now we will see what these factors are actually. What is a repressor molecule? What is a specificity factor? Now see, here you will find a negative repressor expression is shown here. So in the negative regulation, it's shown here. Pink molecule, it is actually the repressor molecule. This pink molecule, there is an operator region, and the repressor molecule is binding there. This crossed lines is showing the operator, and this particular is a promoter region. Now this promoter region, you will see that this promoter region, more precisely the operator region, is occupied by this repressor molecule. Now when that repressor is bound there at that particular gene, the RNA polymerase cannot proceed the mRNA synthesis. It cannot move ahead when that repressor is there. There are signal molecules. Signal molecules will bind to this repressor molecule. They will remove the repressor, and now RNA polymerase can go for mRNA synthesis. mRNA will be synthesized. Now when in the next slide, in the next case, that is case B, you will find that there is a signal molecule will bind to the repressor, and the repressor along with the signal molecule, they will bind to this particular operator region, and it will block the synthesis of RNA polymerase. If this signal molecule is removed from its place, the repressor will also be removed and mRNA synthesis will continue. This is reverse of case A. In case A, what you are observing is a signal molecule will bind to the repressor molecule and they will bind to the promoter region, operator region precisely, and the process is inhibited. Okay. In case B, the signal molecule and the repressor molecule, they will bind to the operator region and transcription is inhibited. How transcription will be started is, in this case signal molecule will bind to the repressor, it will cause certain conformational change in the signal molecule and the signal molecule will lose from its place. And when signal molecule bind to the repressor and both lose from this place, that means this place is vacant and RNA polymerase is ready to play its role. When it will play its role, mRNA synthesis will begin. In case B, the signal molecule, when it is losing from this repressor molecule which is shown pink, the repressor will also remove from this place and now this will become vacant and RNA polymerase will go for transcription. So that is negative regulation. Now in the positive regulation, what will happen is, in the process of positive regulation, you will find that activator is there in positive gene regulation. Activator is there in positive gene regulation. Positive means the activator molecule will enhance. In earlier, the repressor molecule has stopped. The pink molecule which we have shown previously, it has stopped the process of transcription. Now this green molecule, which is called as activator, it was repressor in the negative regulation. Here in the positive gene regulation, there is activator molecule. The activator molecule will bind to this region near the operator region, and the RNA polymerase enzyme, it will enhance the binding of RNA polymerase enzyme now. Okay, and now your enzyme will go for mRNA synthesis. That means this molecule, activator molecule, has positively increased the process of transcription. It has increased the binding of RNA polymerase, it has enhanced the binding of this RNA polymerase. Now in second case, the effector molecule and the activator molecule, they will bind to this region and they will enhance the process of transcription. Okay, that means the signal molecule and the activator molecule, they have increased the binding efficiency of RNA polymerase and mRNA process will continue. So that is positive gene regulation and negative gene regulation. I will tell you that what happens in the positive gene regulation and negative gene regulation. I will explain. In case of positive gene regulation and in case of negative gene regulation. Negative gene regulation means you require repressor proteins. In case of E. coli cells, 10,000, 12,000 genes are there, of which nearly 4,000 can have the repressor molecules. It is just a vague figure. So the cell will need 4000 repressor molecules to regulate. Now it's okay. It is only the case of 4000 protein molecules, repressor molecules, that are required for the proteins, the controlling of the gene expression in the E. coli cell. If a cell like human beings, if it is having 32,000 genes, 30,000 repressors will have to be synthesized in our body first. And 30,000 repressor is not an affordable thing for the cells to synthesize. What I am trying to say is that negative gene regulation predominates in the prokaryotic cell like bacteria, which is having only few genes. For negative gene regulation, you require the repressors. 4000 repressors, maybe 10,000. So that is okay. But for human beings, 32,000 repressors means which is not an affordable thing for the cell. This many number of genes, these many numbers of repressors will be required for the cell. And again, this is not quite affordable, and nature has chosen simple way. Nature has chosen for eukaryotic cell, the positive gene regulation is predominant. In eukaryotic cell, positive gene regulation is predominant. Negative gene regulation you will find very less in eukaryotic cells. In prokaryotes you will find the negative gene regulation. Now, the gene regulation that we are discussing is actually because of these great scientists, Jacob, Monod and Loff, who first coined the term operons. They have introduced this term operon. What is operon actually? It is a set of genes which is controlling a particular expression actually, in short. It is a group of genes that are transcribed at the same time, as they have studied in case of lac operon. Lac operon means lactose operon. Operon, as I told you, it is a set of genes which is controlling that particular gene expression. Lac operon means the genes involved in controlling of lactose, degradation of lactose, metabolism of lactose. And for the first time, these three scientists, they have introduced this term operon. And then we know arabinose operon, tryptophan operon, and many more operons are there. So what next? Now any operon or many operon, rather, they will constitute this particular format. There is a activator binding site, there is a promoter, repressor, regulatory molecules are there, and there are genes afterwards which will continue. This is lac operon. Lac operon, which is having the enzymes galactoside permease, beta galactosidase, galactoside transacetylase. So galactoside permeases, they will bring the lactose from outside of the cells to inside of the E. coli cells. Now beta galactosidase will degrade lactose into glucose and galactose. Again, galactose will be utilized later, glucose will be utilized first. glucose will be utilized first. As I told you, the gene cluster and the promoter plus the additional sequences that function together in the regulation are called an operon. The genes for beta galactosidase, as I told you, degrade glucose, lactose into glucose and galactose. And galactoside permease will bring that lactose inside the cell. There is a lac repressor, there is an operator. The repressor is actually a tetramer. Tetramer means a protein having four proteins that will bind to the repressor. Then the inducer in this case is allolactose that will bind to the lac repressor, and they will change the conformational change. They will bring out the conformational change into that repressor molecule, which I told you it is a tetramer. Now in many genetic engineering process, you must have heard of IPTG, isopropyl thiogalactoside, okay, which is a analog of your lactose. Now here, this is a very important case. Lac operon you must have read many times. Operator, this repressor molecule, inducer, allolactose, I told you. But what happens when you supply glucose and lactose simultaneously to a particular cell? This I am going to discuss. The genes for both glucose and lactose is there. What will happen if you provide simultaneously the glucose and lactose to the cell? You are providing simultaneously both the substrate, lactose also and glucose also. Which substrate will be utilized first and why? And what are the molecular signals that will determine? That is discussed in this particular slide. A single cell, example of a single cell, it is given here. What happens, I will tell you. When you supply glucose and lactose to the cell, glucose will be utilized by the cell. Glucose is a simple organic carbon source. That is a principal carbon source for bacterial cell. Now while discussing this, you must come out of microbiology. We are discussing as a cell. So maybe a bacterial example is given here, but we should come out of that bacteria, plant and animal cells. When we are talking of gene expression, all cells are similar, I can say. We are discussing. No doubt there are differences, but as a cell, they should be similar in this discussion at least. So what happens is, when you supply glucose and lactose, glucose is a simpler source. Glucose is a simpler source, and because it is a simpler source, that will be taken up by the cell. Okay. When glucose is completely degraded, ATP CAMP will be formed, and that CAMP will bind to CRP. Okay, cyclic receptor protein. Now the CRP will bind to the catabolite activator protein, and when glucose is absent in the cells, CRP-CAMP binds near the lag promoter and can stimulate the RNA transcription 50-fold. Now you try to understand what is happening here. You have given glucose to the cells and lactose also. Cells has utilized glucose completely, and CAMP is formed in this cells because of degradation of glucose, cyclic adenosine monophosphate. That CAMP will bind to the CRP, cyclic receptor protein, cyclic CAMP receptor protein, and this CRP and CAMP will bind near the lag promoter and stimulate the transcription. You see the degradation products of glucose, they are controlling the degradation of lactose. Okay. So that is the interdependency of the metabolic pathways. One pathway is actually controlling another pathway, or the products of one pathway, they are controlling another pathway. Now this is a simple case of lag operon we are discussing today, and now you can imagine the complexity of the eukaryotic cells. There are, as I told you, 30,000 genes, their products, their proteins. How it is controlled, how it is managed. The proteins are synthesized in the cytoplasm, whereas in the nucleus you need many enzymes needed for replication, transcription. More than 10 to 20 transcription factors are there. For replication process you required DNA polymerase, single stranded binding proteins, exonucleases, topoisomerase, guanase, many more enzymes are there. So how this balance of the proteins is taking place in the cell? How this rhythmic transportation of the proteins whenever they are required by the cells, how it is taking place, how it is regulated, how they are sent to their particular destinations, it is all a very fascinating aspect that we can study. And moreover, it is very interesting to find out what is going on in our own body cells. Okay. So this is there, lag operon we have studied, and these are Jacob and Monod, who have studied the E. coli lag operon that we have discussed now, and they also got Nobel Prize for that. This is a single scenario we are discussing by taking a simpler cell like E. coli cell. In human beings there are different mechanisms they evolved in eukaryotic cells. As I told you, the negative gene regulation is quite a rare event in eukaryotic cells. They adopt different mechanisms to control. Like there is a phenomenon called as transcription attenuation in case of TRP operon. the mRNA will bind on itself. They will allow the synthesis of tryptophan operon, and again they can inhibit the synthesis of tryptophan operon. It is two-way. The tryptophan operon is also very interesting. Interesting in the sense the mRNA transcript itself is controlling the synthesis of tryptophan, and hence it is very fascinating to study what happens. There is no regulatory protein, there is no activator, there is no repressor, and how the tryptophan operon is actually controlled. Tryptophan is amino acid, as you must be knowing. So how it is controlled? So that is a very fascinating aspect. So these are the processes, how they control, and quite interesting to find out at least taking some model organisms like lab operon we have studied. Now this is just a beginning, that your interest should be created by taking certain few examples. At least genetics is a very vast subject. You cannot cover genetics and gene expression in such a very short time. But what I have tried to given you is an overview what happens in gene expression. As you can read, genetics is a very vast subject. Some authors, they refer genetics as chemical physics of biology. So chemical physics of biology means chemistry is there, biology is there, and physics is also there. So these are the things that will make us understand genetics is very vast subject, and we have to read many things. Now we will see the rest of the things later whenever the chance is given to me by Botany for You organizers. I am very much thankful to all the organizers, and if you feel any difficulty, you can call me. Thank you very much.